Hey tea heads, this is Don from Mayleaf. It's 5:45 a.m. here in London. The rain is pitter-pattering above my head and it's quiet outside. And it's time that we dive into a new PuErh release from an area which I have been trying to source from since 2019. Since Calamansi Super, for those who know. We have finally found a new Da Shui Shan Sheng Gushu PuErh. This is the Lush Disciple. I will show you the cover by Celine. The leopard out in nature, getting creative, getting artistic with the jungle behind and those angels, trumpets, flowers hanging from above his or her head. And I love this cover. It's got a real flatness to it, which I really like. Was a conscious choice by Celine and myself to just try to create something that had a little bit more flatness to it, almost like it's being shot by a lens, which is very, very long, like a telephoto lens. So it just compresses the background into the foreground, and you just get this feeling of the whole jungle and the whole, the lushness of all of the environment just sort of up against this artist, this leopard, who is painting away. Lush Disciple. This is spring 2023. This is cultivar Daejong variety, the big leaf Assamica variety. This is Gushu. I can't remember the estimated age of the tea trees, but once I open the pack, I will find out because I obviously wrote it on there. This is from Da Shui Shan. Da Shui Shan in Mengku, Yunnan, China, is an area that we've been trying to source from for a while. The last tea that we sourced from there was Calamansi Super, from my recollection, unless I'm forgetting a tea cake, which may happen. But Da Shui Shan, Calamansi Super was a sort of one of those teas that a lot of people still talk about. Very particular character. From Mengku area, so Da Shui Shan is in Mengku area, and Mengku has a very particular potency about it in terms of its flavor and in terms of its body sensation, but a very particular, I don't know how to put it, but I always sort of associate it with potions. Very intense, very rich, very hard to put your finger on in terms of what makes it so powerful, because oftentimes they can be actually very easy drinking, but that is what makes them in a way deceptive, because you drink them so easily and then you just feel this amazing energy that comes from these teas. But as I said, we haven't found a Da Shui Shan, despite tasting for the past 5 years. We haven't found one that really we felt could be a follow-up to Calamansi Super. This one, however, is right up there from my recollection of the Maocha. So origin Da Shui Shan, Mengku, Yunnan, China. Picking and processing is going to be the standard PuErh picking and processing. It's going to be a bud and up to 3 leaves. And the elevation, again, I can't remember, but it's pretty high. I reckon it's about 2,200 or 2,500 meters. I'll find out when I open the package. I'll leave that one here. I'll open up this other cake that I have, and I will quickly give you the information that I missed out. So elevation 2,200 to 2,750 meters. So high mountain, and 200 to 300 year old tea trees is the estimated age of the tea trees. Let's take a look at this cake. So obviously it's had a year to age. There you go. Look at the leaves. How would you describe those leaves compared to other Sheng PuErhs? I'll give you a moment. For me, the thing that I'm noticing is, first of all, the buds are very present, but they are smaller, more wiry than a lot of buddy teas out there. And it may be slightly counterintuitive, because we're sort of so used to associating buds with being something luxurious. However, on my travels and in my learning with tea, what I've found out is that oftentimes the really, really high quality ancient tree material tends to have quite small wiry buds, not big fat plump buds. So I look at this with maybe a slightly different eye. For me, this looks buddy in all the right ways. Color shift has happened. We're starting to move more into the mustard colors, the antique colors, slightly plummy colors, but certainly there's a lot of sort of silver, seal sort of browns and antique silvers going on there. So it's started to age. It's a year old. Let's dive into it. See how it breaks up, which, knowing the factory that we use, is going to be the perfect level of compression for me. Not too tight, not too loose. The right level. So you can easily just break it up without breaking a load of leaves, without damaging the leaves. And I think that will be enough. So Lush Disciple. It's been a bit of a journey trying to get another Dashui Shan. As I said, Calamansi Super was such a popular tea, and is still hailed by quite a few people as being one of the standout releases over the near decade or so that we've been releasing PuErh teas. Is that enough? You know me, I always tend to overdo it. So I'm going to try to keep it. We'll see. We'll see how I feel once I see the leaves in the Gai One. But we can always add more. Right, let's heat up this Gai One. This is a Zerni Zersha Gai One. We call it the Zerni Fountain. And yeah, I will be tasting this, of course, in porcelain. But I want my first taste of this to be in this Gai One. I feel when I came down this morning, pottering around in my tea collection at 4:30 in the morning, this one called out to me, and I tend to follow what calls me these days. Okay, that's nice and hot. Let's see how these leaves look inside here. Yeah, that's perfect for me. We're over halfway. That is a nice, hefty portion of tea. Right, let's get our nose stuck into this. The smell is immense, immensely sweet. My memory of this tea is that the sweetness and the lushness and the richness of that aroma is so redolent, it's so overwhelming, which is why we call the tea the Lush Disciple. It's just lush. You know, it's kind of an expression. I think it's mostly a Welsh thing. When something is so like overwhelmingly good, it's lush. It's just absolutely lush, the smell. Tons and tons of flowers. But nothing like bright and citrusy. It's deep, it's sticky, it's foggy in here with the smell of, like, in absolute peak bloom lilies. I'm getting overripe fruits, overripe pear, overripe banana. So just that, imagine walking into a dense, deep, landscape where you've got this amazing, there's flowers and fruits, and it's warm and tropical almost. You know, that richness. The overripe pear with that really intense lily smell is just, it's incredible. It's an incredibly sweet smell. I'm getting some almond brittle, salted almond brittle, the inside of a dime bar. For those of you who've had a dime bar before, and I'm getting flapjacks as well. So similar sort of note, oaty, caramelly, salted caramel brittles, but with that almond nuttiness. But then in the distance, there's also lemon candies, but I don't mean like lemon drops. I don't mean lemon like something too sweet. I mean very on the nose, citrusy, but not bright citrusy, almost aged citrusy, almost marmalade cooked down citrusy. So again, deeper, richer, more lush. This is got brightness, but the brightness is sort of the after or the tail end of all of that lush, fruity floweriness. There's this sort of bright effervescence over the top, but it's not about citrus fruit. Calamansi Super was similar in that way, in that it had this citrus orangey or lime, calamansi lime note, but deep set. And this is very different from calamansi, but that deeper citrus note is a persistent theme across the two. I mean, it's in just an, it's like just a cloud. I mean, I feel like I'm sticking my nose in a cloud of flowers, fruits, and deep sweetness. You know those smells like of perfumes, which are almost too much, cloyingly sweet, you know, where you're like, whoa, you know, maybe incorrectly you might associate them with, you know, perfumes that are picked by more elderly ladies, you know, that sort of real richness, real depth, unafraid, not trying to be, you know, light and airy, but just is like, no, this is about intensity, depth, this sort of resinous stickiness of just like the most incredible nectars out there. All right, let's smell the let's smell the wet leaf. Okay, now the jungle is here, picking up wet, humid jungle, wet moss. So the greens are coming out. Some woods, wet wood, wet moss. It's definitely a wet jungle, humid, wet jungle, where this, suddenly I'm having doubts. Is this a leopard or a cheetah? No, it's a leopard. Where this leopard is painting. It's definitely a hot, humid, wet jungle. The woods are, they're quite still fruity, so I would say more like apple wood or pear wood rather than pine wood forests. It's again not about those fresh zingy notes, it's about the depth of the fruit. So apple wood, dried longan, intense fruitiness, cherry, but again cooked down, cherry jam, the lime, or the, what did I say before, lemon candy has moved into something reminiscent of lime marmalade, but I also want to go even further into a more slightly savory note, which is lime pickle. For those of you who have had lime pickle before, it's like an Indian condiment, but try to remove the curry spiciness and just focus on that lime, pickled lime zest note, because it does have that savory quality to it as well. I'm getting that classic PuErh summer sweat note to it. So hot summer's day, the smell of sweat on your loved one's skin or your own skin. Slightly animalic, but not in a bad, overly funky way. Enjoyable, like you want to stick your nose into that armpit or onto that summer skin. So this again, this is intense, this is rich, this is unapologetically lush, unapologetically redolent with these thick, sticky aromas. I hope that the character of the tea is coming across, and certainly the name Lush Disciple works. The flowers coming off the smell of the wet leaves are slightly musky, sweet and slightly musky. And this is why we picked this flower, the angel's trumpets, that beautiful gold yellow, those flowers, sticky, sweet, slightly musky aroma with all of that humid jungle in the background. Right, we're at 97 degrees. I reckon that's about right. 95, 97, sort of 205 Fahrenheit, 207 Fahrenheit. I'm going to give this a 20-second or so brew. And I am excited for my first sip of the day. Launching this Gushu Dashreshan. Color. I already know that this is a potion. It's got this depth of color, this richness of color, and let me see. Yeah, you can see it, but I just if only we had light coming through this gongfu tray. But yeah, it's a apricot gold, but thick and rich, and just got so much activity. It looks sort of mysterious, it's this sort of moving trichomes in there. It's a looker, let's put it that way. Now we focus. First sip of the day is always the most important sip of the day. Sets the tone. Cheers everybody. Lush Disciple. Oh. Whoa. Oh, whoa. So much information. Hold on. Oh, wow. The texture is, the taste is like hitting me hard, but the texture is extremely different. I would class it as thick, medium thick to thick. I would class it as medium thick to thick and oily. But the transformation in texture is what's so fascinating. So imagine that something hits your mouth and it feels thick and oily. But almost as soon as it's in your mouth and you've picked up that descriptor, it transforms to hydrating, plumping, filling, like it just gets absorbed into your tongue and into the sides of your cheeks. It's almost like you don't even get a chance to swallow it. It hits your tongue and you're noticing all of that sort of voluptuousness, and then it dissipates away into your tongue. It makes this tea the sort of definition of an easy sipper. It's like just isotonic in its hydrating quality. And the taste is the same thing or like the initial character is one where it almost feels like the minerality of the tea is so matching my blood and my you know my sort of the minerality of my essence, that it's like it's a perfect match, and it just soaks in. Oh, wow. I don't know how to describe it better. I hope I've described it enough, but it's quite an experience. And it makes it so easy sipping, because you just, wow, you know, you want that. Now let's talk about the taste, the minerality. Let me first focus on, which is a bit strange, the aftertaste. The aftertaste, as soon as it hits your mouth, you get this soaking up of everything, and then your tongue gets hit with this bitterness. Dashui Shan Calamansi Super was the same, and that bitterness is like a slightly casky, it's like a woodsy bitterness. I might even go a little bit further and say it almost reminds me of like a gourd bitterness, but not too vegetal bit, not like winter melon or something like that, where it's a bit too much. It's more in the woodsy bitterness note, or maybe like nut skin bitterness. But that bitterness transforms. So it is the perfect example of Huigan for me, you know, where you get this transformation of like definite presence of bitterness, and then it's like unfolds to this amazing sweetness. I mean, 4 sips in, my mouth is like I have like drunk a whole load of nectar or honey, but that honey is from not meadow flowers, but deep tropical flowers, deep jungle flowers, you know, these angel's trumpet, or like, you know, lilies, orchids, just deep. I've said that a few times, haven't I? The word deep. I'll try not to say it anymore. But I'm trying to find another word. Lush sweetness in my mouth. Nectar, floral nectar. All right, let's rewind it back. Taste. Interestingly, which sounds almost the opposite of what I've just said. Initial taste, the thing that popped into my head was strawberry milk. And I don't mean anything fancy, I mean very pink strawberry milk, which I wasn't expecting. Yeah, creamy, light, bright, sweet. But then loads of those humid jungle notes, loads of that, the wet moss, and tons of those flowers. Okay, brew it up again. The minerality is also quite slaty. Definitely got this rocky, mountainous quality to it. The florality, again, I'm gonna throw it into the lilies and angels trumpet. Those are the ones that I associate most with this taste. Let's talk about the citrus note that we picked up on the nose, because it is here. It's different from Calamansi Super. It's slightly more perfumed now. In fact, a lot more perfumed. I will go with pomelo. Very zesty pomelo. So it does have that zest. It's just that Yeah, imagine you've taken pomelo skins, you've peeled them, and you've got that smell, but you've just let it sit for a bit. Just again, it's not got those extremely transient notes. It's more the deep set, I said it again. It's more that inner set quality of the more high to mid-range and mid-range of that pomelo zest aroma. The huigan, the sweetness is just out there, top level. You know, people talk often about, you know, the strength and the bitterness and the huigan of those famous areas like La Banjiang and that whole region that are punchy teas. And this is different, but it is, for me, as intense. It's in some ways, I find it even more to my liking, because you get like a more like nut skin bitterness punch rather than something that's extremely bitter. But then the transformation to this really heavy, sweet nectar in your mouth is just is something that I think makes Mengku so interesting. If you remember other, you know, cakes from there that just have this richness. Nug Potion, I know it's a shoe, but there's something about that area. Anyway, let's see how this tea develops. I'm going to come back after about 3 more infusions and we'll give you my thoughts on body sensation, final thoughts on the Lush Disciple. 6th infusion of the Lush Disciple. It's definitely a potion. This is a tea which fires on all cylinders. It is, if you really want to experience what a powerful Gushu Sheng PuErh tastes and feels like, then look no further than this tea. The taste in my mouth, the huigan in my mouth, I mean, it is, I think, up there with the absolute top level huigan. It's just that transformation from bitterness to sweetness, and the sweetness persists and persists and persists. It's like pomelo, lilies, angel's trumpet, a slight little bit of black pepper as well, or pink pepper corns, and the taste, rich, intense. The body sensation is, I mean, it's just like intense, and I feel like it's gonna grow. It's settling in. It's seeping between all the see, it's seeping into all of the cracks. It's like filling me with this buzzy, warm, slightly fizzy energy. My whole body is tingling. It's excitable, but in a quite deep set, seeded sort of way. Not like, but just it feels like it's just sort of growing, you know, pulsing from inside. It really is just a very, very rich, deep feeling. Look at these leaves. Wow, such a potent brew. Yeah, sort of lovely amphibian green leaves. It really reaches a point sometimes where I feel like I just can't talk when I get this lifted on tea. I just want to sit and take it all in. It has hit me in such a big way. The smell of the empty cup, you see, I'm almost too drunk to keep drinking, but I need to get to smell the empty cup. Okay. Oh, wow. This packs a punch. Oh, toffee and loads of flowers. That brittle, almond brittle has moved more into like butter toffees and lilies and jungly flowers. The Lush Disciple, holy moly, that hit me hard. First thing in the morning, empty stomach, just past 6 a.m. and I am flying. Great way to start the day. That's it, tea heads. Check out other videos, taste our teas wherever you are in the world by browsing mayleaf.com, and come visit us if you're ever in London. Other than that, I'm Don from Mayleaf. Thank you for being a part of the revelation of true tea. Stay away from those tea bags. Keep drinking the mind-blowing stuff and spread the word, because nobody deserves bad tea. Bye.